What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. No more status is anything and everything animation, including SpongeBob to Pineapple Under the Sea. I probably just sounded like I was speaking gibberish, but oh well. Welcome back to SpongeBob Month 4, and welcome to Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 6, the motion picture. In this episode, after realizing that the Trippy Brothers Studios, I'm just going to call it Trippy. Trippy Brothers Studios is using actors instead of the real Mermaid and Barnacle Boy. SpongeBob gets mad, and in retaliation, with the help of his friends, decides to make their own movie. It goes about as well as you expect. Now, this episode is a bit controversial with some people. Is it as amazing as Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5? No. But I still think it's a very funny, very enjoyable episode with just one big problem I'm going to talk about after we get through the highlights. So, what are the highlights of this episode? Well, I mean, this part became a meme, so it has to be a highlight. The live-action mouth. I mean, I know some people say it's jarring, but to me, it's hilarious. Like, it's one of those live-action cutaway gags that SpongeBob utilizes so frequently. And it's so funny when they do it. And then, for the second highlight, this is probably my favorite part in the episode. Is somebody say bye? Sandy is great in this one. And then they reuse the joke 3 times. And somehow it gets funnier every single time. So, yeah. So what's the bone to pick I have with this episode? It's one part in particular. After the set is seemingly destroyed after one person can't haul Pearl up a hill because she's the invisible boatmobile of the movie. Yeah, that wasn't very smart. And they get to the part where SpongeBob's like, oh, I guess we can still use the footage. And then we see there's a lens cap on the camera. This is a lie. Because if you look at literally every other shot of this episode with the camera, there's no lens on the camera. There's no lens on the lens. There's no lens cap on the lens. It's clearly rolling. So they literally animated this in here just to have some random stupid conflict in the final few minutes of the episode. And it drove me mad when I found that out. It drove me mad. But the rest was pretty good, and the movie itself that they make, it may not be the most amazing thing ever, but you can tell there's passion behind it. So it's kind of like a commentary of, you can have the best effects and stuff in the world, but if you don't have passion behind it, your project is already a failure. That's actually really smart when you really stop and think about it. Overall, this episode's pretty good. What did I give it? Let me get my score sheet here. Right here. So, I would give this episode a 7 out of 10 for the final verdict. I think it's a pretty good episode, just that one part with the lens cap was unnecessary, and they probably could have trimmed out a couple other little scenes that had no purpose to the story. But there's a lot of funny visual gags, the highlights are great, and the ending is satisfying. Alright, let's jump ahead to Enemy in Law. Yeah, this is one of my favorite Plankton episodes. Fight me. In this episode, Plankton falls for Crab's mom. And at first, obviously, he doesn't know that. And when he finds that out, he doesn't care and still tries to be with her. And at first, the secret formula's not even involved, so it's not until Krabs stupidly tells him that she knows the formula that, he tries to go for it again, which is bad and is a bit of a shite ending, because up to that point, this entire episode had nothing to do with the formula. It was just Plankton trying to find a love of his life because he was tired of Karen and he wanted a real woman. No offense, Karen, but you are a computer. And you can't really fault him for that. And there's a lot of great gags in the episode, and I do have two highlights. The first one, I know this one shouldn't make me laugh because it's something a bit distasteful and a bit disrespectful. It's the scene where after the mother tries to get a hat by borrowing Mr. Krabs' money, and Mr. Krabs hides all his money, so she can't. Then, the second time she comes around actually wearing the hat, since Plankton bought it for her in secret, then SpongeBob swallows Mr. Krabs' wallet, after Krabs tells him to, and he told her about how he got her a hat. He hands her the hat. It's like an old torn up thing, and we're wondering where'd he get it. Yeah, he stored off a dead body in a coroner's office. Like, he stole off a dead body at a funeral. Like, that is absolutely disrespectful, but at the same time, it's hilarious that he went to that extreme just to get her a hat and avoid spending money. Like, it fits his character, it doesn't last very long, and it's a very funny dark joke. Like, I'm sorry, I like dark jokes in these kind of shows, especially SpongeBob, when they're done right. When they're not, they are agitating, but this is an example of one done right. And then the second one of the episode is when Plankton tries to actually get the formula out of Miss Krabs when she turns down his marriage proposal, and she literally shows him the big guns. Like, she pulls back her sleeve, flexes, and then a visual comes up of an actual, like, battleship gun firing. Like, that's that funny little visual touch that SpongeBob is so good at. And then the ending is okay. I mean, Plankton gets his just desserts for deserting Karen, but outside of that, this episode is still great. I just feel like it could be better. Final verdict for this episode is an 8 out of 10. Definitely the best of these two. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time when we talk about... what's next? Handy dandy binder. One of the best and one of the worst. Patrick Smart Pants and Squid Bob Tentacle Pants. But first we got another Aquatic Neptune reaction, so see you for Aquatic Neptune, Mermaid Man, and Barnacle Boy. And I promise you this was just coincidence. I didn't know it would line up like this. See you then, stay spongy.